Welcome to the Sleep Dives channel. We're jumping back into our exploration of flow engineering by Steve Pereira. Last time, we figured out how to use value stream mapping to pinpoint the single biggest bottleneck in a process. But finding the problem is really only half the battle. Now we've got to ask the real question: why is it happening in the first place? And we're going to find the answer using a really powerful technique called dependency mapping. And to really get us in the right mindset, just think about this quote from Donella Meadows. It absolutely hits the nail on the head for what we're dealing with in any complex system, right? There are a million connections. The real secret to making things better isn't just seeing that tangled web, it's finding that one single thread that when you pull it, the whole knot just comes undone. Okay, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at that moment where a value stream map kind of leaves you hanging. Then we'll bring in its partner in crime, dependency mapping. We're going to walk through a super practical 5-step process to actually use it, see how it can literally tear down those walls between teams, and finally, we'll cover the big mistakes to avoid so that what you learn actually leads to real change. So, Section 1, from broad to deep. This is all about what I like to call the what next problem. You've done the hard work, you've mapped your value stream, and hey, you found the bottleneck. Fantastic. But now what? You have to remember, a value stream map gives you that 30,000-foot view. It's an incredible tool for putting a giant flashing arrow on your biggest problem, that one spot that's slowing everything down. But its job is just to point. It tells you where the fire is, but it can't tell you why it started. And trying to fix a problem without really understanding it, well, that's just a different kind of waste. Your map is the start of the investigation, not the final answer. So if our value stream map has led us to the crime scene, what's our next move? Well, that brings us to Section 2, dependency mapping. If value stream mapping is the telescope we use to spot the problem from miles away, dependency mapping is the microscope we're going to use to analyze it up close. The book makes this distinction so clear, and it's absolutely crucial to get this. Value stream mapping is designed to be broad and shallow. It scans the entire horizon. Dependency mapping is the opposite. It's narrow, but incredibly deep. It drills right down to the core. They aren't competing tools at all. They are two sides of the same coin, meant to be used one after the other. First, you find the trouble spot. Then you figure out what's actually wrong with it. So what is it really? Well, think of it like a developer running a trace to debug a piece of software. They don't analyze the entire application. That would be insane. No, they focus like a laser on the one function that's breaking to understand every single thing it touches. That's exactly what we're doing here, but for our workflow. Now, to make this real, let's follow the story of Bolt Global. Sharon's team does a value stream map, and bam, they find their biggest delay, a 12-day wait for an environment setup. 12 days. But here's the kicker. Her team doesn't even do that work. It's owned by a totally different infrastructure team run by a manager named Carl. And right there you have the classic, all-too-common problem. The thing slowing you down is completely out of your control. This is the exact kind of organizational knot we're trying to untangle. This leads us perfectly into the real how-to part of this. Section 3, mapping in 5 steps. We're moving away from the theory and into a clear, repeatable process that you can actually use. So how do we actually pull this off? How do we go from just knowing, hey, there's a problem over there, to truly understanding its anatomy, its guts, and its root causes? It's a systematic 5-stage process. First, you start with the constraint you already found with your value stream map. Second, you zoom all the way in, creating a detailed little submap of just that one step. Third, inside that submap, you find the hotspots, the delays within the delay. Fourth, you start listing out the immediate reasons for those hotspots. And finally, number 5, you dig deeper, using a simple technique like the 5 whys to just keep asking why until you peel back all the layers and find the real root cause. It's a methodical hunt for the truth. But look, just mastering that 5-step process is only part of the story. The technical map, that's just a tool. The real goal, as we'll see in Section 4, is to unlock collaboration. This is where this whole thing goes from a neat trick to a total game changer. The book calls these maps a Rosetta Stone, and that's just a perfect analogy. You've got 2 teams, like Sharon's developers and Carl's infrastructure guys. They have different goals, different pressures. They probably even use different words for the same things. A visual map becomes this shared object, a common language. It completely changes the conversation from "you're making a slate" to "let's look at this shared problem together." And this is where Sharon played it so smart. She didn't just storm over to Carl's desk with demands. No, she came prepared with 3 visual assets. She had her outcome map to explain the why, the business goal they both shared. She had the value stream map to show the where, proving that his team's process was the biggest blocker in the entire system. And she had a draft dependency map to start a conversation about the how. This wasn't an attack. It was a data-driven invitation to solve a problem together. And the result? It was incredible. Instead of getting defensive, Carl's team actually got interested. They worked on the map together, and it quickly became clear that Carl's team was just totally swamped. So they found a collaborative fix. Sharon's engineers pitched in to help automate some of Carl's manual work, which sped up the process for everyone. They turned a potential fight into a partnership. Okay, so we have the process, we've seen how powerful it can be for collaboration, but even with the best maps in the world, it is so easy to get this wrong. That brings us to our final and maybe most important section, key traps to avoid. This is about making sure all your hard work actually pays off. This slide really breaks down the common mistakes. Don't go to another team pointing fingers. Go with genuine curiosity and the data to back it up. Don't just complain about how this affects your team. Frame it as a problem for the whole organization. And please, don't assume you already know the answer. Build the map together and find the solution together. It really all comes down to that timeless advice from Stephen Covey: seek first to understand, then to be understood. These maps are your tool for understanding. And one last critical warning from the book: be super careful with service level agreements, or SLAs. They often become a perfect example of something called Parkinson's law. If an SLA says a task will be done within 4 days, guess what? It's almost certainly going to take 4 days, even if it could have been done in 4 hours. The SLA stops being a safety net and becomes a target, hiding huge opportunities for getting faster. Let's end on this really powerful idea from the text. Psychological pressure without clarity just creates stress. We all feel that pressure, right? Go faster, do more. But without a clear, shared picture of what's actually holding us back, that pressure is just noise. It just leads to burnout. The tools we've talked about are all about converting that messy pressure into focused clarity. So the question I'll leave you with is this: how can you and your team start turning all that pressure you feel into genuine clarity?